are being announced tonight, Fintech Australia's awards for the best in fintech. Let's catch up with one of the awards sponsors right now. Cathy Lyall from Seedspace is backing Female Tech Leader of the Year, and she's here in our studio to talk about women in tech. Cathy, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you in. A great conversation to have, especially with the awards on tonight. Now, one of them is Female Tech Leader of the Year. Do you think we'll get to a point where we just have Tech Leader of the Year because 50% of the candidates are women?
Do you know, that's an aspiration, isn't it? It's a great aspiration. I've been looking at the stats on the basis of coming here. Actually, I follow them quite closely, and I think we're at 32% participation of women in fintech right now in Australia, which is about on par with financial services more generally. In the UK, it's higher than that. It's up around 48%. So we do have a way to go, but it's an encouraging trajectory, I think. And as we get more women coming out of financial services careers, for instance, into fintech, I hope that starts to bolster it going forward. But yes, the Finnies, really exciting night. It's our 4th year of running them, and it's our very first hybrid one ever. So we haven't ever done a remote Finnies before. So we've got 21 events going on all around Australia, plus over 300 individuals dialing in. So it's going to be a fun night.
I think I'll grab a glass of wine and sit down in front of my computer to join in. Should be great fun.
Please do.
Now, tell us about some of the female fintech leaders that have been nominated tonight as finalists in their category.
A really strong cohort this year. So we had over 270 nominees across the board, and that was honed down to a short list of around 30. I mean, some extraordinary leaders in there, and you know some from previous years, from entities like Airwallex, for instance. So I can't let you know who it is because I don't know myself till tonight, even though I'm presenting. And but I think we're going to see some. You'll see some really incredible profiles up there, and I think you'll be really encouraged to see the breadth of tech that has women engaged in it, whether it be artificial intelligence or NLP, machine learning type products, or something in smart contracts and blockchain.
It is exciting that there is that many candidates. Surely you sort of see that there are lots of green shoots in that respect, and we are making progress when it comes to women in tech and STEM and fintech.
We are making progress, but it's off a low base.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's been some stats out recently. I'll just rattle a couple off, right? So the growth in SMEs, women are outpacing men by 150%, but we're coming off an extremely low base and we're still a long way behind, but the trajectory is good. And we're seeing the same in STEM participation at universities. But then when you get to things like, say, our pension and super funds, there was a recent thing out recently globally that showed that only 14% of fund managers at the pension level are female. So these are our future earnings. This is what we're going to live off, but we're not having that lens yet. And then if you look at fintech very deliberately, you know, we're not sitting around the table. The code repositories, the scrum meetings, you know, they're still very male dominated, as are the boardrooms. So certainly at Seedspace, one of our lenses when we're looking to invest is definitely around diversity in all its forms, because if you have great diversity in a company that's got great purpose, then you're usually on a winner with an investment.
So it sounds like it's more than just a matter of time for more female leaders to come up through the system. What do you think needs to be done earlier on, say at tertiary level, graduates? How can we foster greater female participation?
Yeah, it's a good
question specifically.
Yes, it's a good question. So I'm working with an incredible lady called Bianca Hartke-Hazelman, who owns Financy, and she's developed the Women's Economic Equality Index, which tracks quarterly, and she's got Deloitte's, AMP and others as OneView as partners. And it's some really good stats here around those 8 pillars, and it shows that the earlier you can get in and have that very strong financial education and that understanding of technology, you have stronger wins as far as participation going forward. And I think the government could do a lot more here to support that early stage ecosystem, whether it be supporting funding for early stage businesses and particularly for women, and that can be through tax structures and incentives for angel investors so that who'll take that risk earlier on for women, to stronger R&D tax credit type things, or really strong knowledge transfer projects between the universities and these startups.
Now, one of the people I see who is one of the outstanding fintech nominees tonight is Catherine McConnell from Brighte. Been doing some amazing things. Even just today, there was an announcement that the NAB is backing a project with her around green assets. the innovation that women are providing, sometimes there's a sense that sisters are doing it for themselves. You were talking about superannuation before. I'm looking at things like Verve Super and the female-founded companies that are specifically addressing issues around women and financial management or financial planning. It seems like everyone is sort of collaborating to lift themselves up to solve some of these problems.
Yeah, you've hit on a really core thing there, I think. So, and that's having purpose. I think women really enjoy driving business forward when there's a true purpose to it. And you know, Brighte's 100% green bond. I mean, that's almost world leading. It's fantastic to see. And you know, certainly in our portfolio, we've got entities like Fairvine, which is female founded in the super space. You know, women retire with less funding, and we've got an NDIS play there as well. So I think it's really great. But you know, things like blockchain, we've got 4 of the leading companies are female founded and female run. And again, it's because it brings transparency. It's really changing things at a cellular level. And I think women really enjoy getting involved in doing things like that. So yes, I think sisters are doing it for themselves.
Now, you briefly mentioned seed space earlier, and that you guys are specifically looking to invest in diversity. Can you give us a bit of an update on what's happening at Seed Space and how this quarter is looking for you guys in terms of investment?
Certainly. So I'm an advisor to Seed Space, and I also have a fund in London because I came here recently after 18 years there. So we've got our lens is very much in broad fintech. Strong financial services bent, and as I mentioned, we look for companies with purpose and with really strong founders. 20% of the fund are offshore companies like MyMy, etc. But we've got some prop tech that's using smart contracts and blockchain, for instance, to change the way the property markets will work going forward, and we'll tell you more about that when we can. We've had one recently list with Doe go on the market in the last week or so, and we've got some others coming down the pipeline that are growing very strongly. I think that lens for us, you know, we really want to invest in companies that are going to do well. And I think because we're so early stage, we spend a lot of that due diligence time looking at founders, understanding how the team works, and understanding what their culture is, and ensuring that we can really deploy our networks in a good, strong governance structure.
Cathy, before we let you go, talking around this investment idea and the diversity thing, now, how important is it for investors to lead this conversation and to lead the strategy? I'm sort of thinking, if banks are saying we won't lend for coal or we won't lend for a whole bunch of harmful products, what about the investment community all sort of saying, look, if you can't get some women on the board, if you can't get people of colour, if I'm just looking at another row of middle-aged white blokes, you're not getting any money from me. How quickly would things change then? It
would change really significantly quickly, I think, in a very short amount of years. And you saw a report recently about I think they called it the board club here in Australia. And I've sat on big boards overseas, and certainly I'm finding it hard to crack into the club, but I'm having a lot of fun in fintech and investing. But you've got some people who really stand out, like John Pearce at UniSuper. They make real stands around investment decisions, around diversity, for instance, and around ESG type issues. And we've seen some upsets at board level recently, so I think that's really encouraging. And we see a lot of that in Europe already, and I'm hoping to see more of that here in Australia.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to logging on tonight. Startup Daily is delighted to be a sponsor of the Finnies tonight.
Yes, so thank you very much.
We'll be there celebrating and cheering on everyone. All the best with this evening, and thanks for joining us on Startup Daily.
On behalf of FinTech Australia, thanks for sponsoring us.
And let's keep that conversation around women going, because that's what we've got to do if we are going to make some change.
Thanks, team.
Thanks, Cathy.